that, young men under 45, the biggest killer is suicide. The men under 45 years old. So that's crazy. Do you know what I mean? That's bigger than any, accidental death or disease or whatever. So with that being said, in our eyes, it's important that we catch young people when they're younger. Do you know what I mean? Like, the younger, the better. Poetic Unity is my tool. It's not like people obviously put Poetic Unity in me and sync it together, and understandably so, because obviously I started it. But I might do other ventures similar to Poetic Unity, but at the heart of whatever I do is going to be supporting young people. So it's turned into more than what I ever could have expected it to be. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, when I started Poetry Unity, like I said, it was just an idea. It was just it's me realizing the power of poetry and how powerful it was for me. Like I said, I didn't start it to be a charity. I didn't start it to even be a company. I just wanted to see if this was something that was needed in the community, and then kind of just go from there. So the community response has been amazing, like way more than I could have ever imagined.
Quick one. If you'd like to support us on our journey to 1,000, please do consider subscribing or following this podcast, wherever it is you're listening to this. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to 1,000 Voices, the podcast on a mission to interview 1,000 inspirational Black Britons. Today's guest is definitely a very inspirational person. Ryan, also known as Ragz CV, who's a spoken word artist and the founder of a charity called Poetic Unity, which is South London's only weekly spoken word event. In this interview, Ragz speaks about how he accidentally stumbled across spoken word, but realised the impact that it could potentially have on the young people within his community, and how that led to him founding Poetic Unity. He founded Poetic Unity 7 years ago, and since then they've expanded from their weekly poetry events to now also offering a range of different workshops for the young people in their community. In 2021, they were able to directly support over 7,000 young people with the work that they put on. He's definitely someone with a very genuine heart for the community that he serves, and I hope that we can all take some inspiration from his journey so far. So, without further ado, this is 1,000 Voices, and here we have Ragz CV. Cool. All right. Thank you very much for coming onto the podcast, man. How you doing today, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, man. When I started this podcast, like I was saying to you just before we started recording, I've been wanting to like shed light on community heroes and people who are out here actually doing stuff and bettering their communities in whatever way they're doing. So when I started it, I thought I've been to a couple of events in the past, and I thought, yeah, like it would be great to get you on, shed some light, and hear about your journey so far, and what you've been through, challenges, etc. And I'm sure that people are going to hear that and be inspired by what you're doing, and how far you've come so far. To start things off, let's take it back. So whereabouts are you from? Let's speak about your upbringing, like your background, where you're from, what your childhood was like.
Yeah, so I was born in Brixton, and then I lived in between Brixton and Tulse Hill my childhood. That's the two areas I was in. And like, Brixton was obviously very different back then, you know what I'm saying, compared to what it is now. Interesting time, obviously. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. Growing up on a council estate, do you know what I mean? Like, there's not, growing up on a council estate, it's like really like kind of twofold. It's really beautiful in a sense that, the community aspect of it is dope. You don't get that anywhere else, you know what I'm saying? And obviously the negative side of it is obviously, you've got all these different types of people all crammed in one place, and everybody in that place is struggling for money in some way, shape, or form. So it's going to be issues. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So, but yeah, I wouldn't change it for a thing, man, because I learned a lot growing up, and I learned a lot about caring about others. You know what I'm saying? While living and being involved in like a community like that. You know what I'm saying?
for sure. When you just started and you spoke about growing up on a council estate, that's the first thing that pops into my head as well. It's like you get that community, like a proper sense of community. I don't feel like because I grew up on the council estate as well, but I don't feel like you'll get that sense of a community outside of that community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
obviously, then there's other issues, and all those issues, there's a million different things that contribute to those other issues. But I guess that's life growing up in a council estate. With on your side of things, yeah. So did you ever? How do I put it? How did you keep out of any issues that were going on in the area growing up, or did you keep out of any issues? I should say, like them kind of issues growing up.
No, really, I was involved in a lot of things, man. Do you know what I'm saying? So growing up, I was
Yeah,
on the street. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the thing is, growing up, the main thing I was interested in was football and girls. To be honest, that's the two main things I cared about as a young person. You know what I'm saying? And like,
yeah,
but at the same time, even with that being said, like growing up in that type of area, you're gonna come across a lot of the street life. Do you know what I'm saying? A lot of the, as a man as well, the bravado, the egos. You know what I'm saying? You're coming across. And to be honest, like when you live in like Lambeth, like you know what I'm saying, growing up in those types of areas, you kind of have to be a certain way to survive. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I didn't avoid the street life, so to speak. But the one thing that I did avoid was getting into serious trouble. Do you know what I mean? Like I dabbled in a few things here and there, but nothing ever, got to a point where I got a criminal record or anything like that. So thankfully, I got out of all that kind of stuff before it caught up with me. Do you know what I mean? Because that life doesn't. It's not something that's long lasting. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't do that forever. It's going to catch up with you one day in one shape or form.
yeah, for sure. And them times there, do you remember what your early ambitions were? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Footballer, that was it.
Yeah, you was a baller.
Yeah, I was a baller, man. I was a baller.
Okay,
Baller back in the
that's
day, man.
that's what everyone says, man.
No, no, I was a baller. Trust.
Cool,
I could have made it, man. No, no. To be honest, I was never like I wasn't dead. I wasn't dedicated enough to make it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I was good, but it doesn't matter how good you are. You've got to really be dedicated to make it as a footballer.
for sure, for sure. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it, man. I think when I was younger, I wanted to play ball as well, but I don't think I was as serious as I could have been. Like, and if I was dedicated to my craft, because there's kids around me that were proper serious about it, and now they're playing in it. So, a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
from there, yeah. So you've grown up in your area. You know, you're doing whatever you're doing on the side or whatever. How was school life for you? Yeah, how was school for you?
School was like I love school. I love primary school and secondary school. You know what I'm saying? I like both of them. But one thing I realized, especially when I got into second, when I was in primary school, I didn't really clock the race thing. Do you know what I mean? Like in primary school, everyone was just, yeah, I'm saying people. I didn't really look at race like that, or I didn't even really like feel any racism or anything like that. I don't, not that I remember anyway. It's only when I got into secondary school that I started to understand that um, there is racism and there's like different types of people, and even in my household, like my dad being brown and my mum being white, I didn't even look at that as a thing until I went into secondary school. And then one of my friends told me, what happened. When we went first day of secondary school, I always remember this day. Well, first week, I would say, I can't even say first day. When we like started, you start making friends and stuff. And so I made a group of friends. It must have been like 6, 7 of us. And we all came from Lambeth as well. And it wasn't a Lambeth school, by the way. So the fact that we're all from Lambeth and we're in a different area, I think that's what connected us too. And then basically, everyone was just like asking everybody like, where's their background in it, where are they from, whatever, in terms of like heritage. And then one guy come up to me and said, "Oh yeah, Rags, where are you from?" Like, I was like, "I don't know. I didn't know at the time." Like, you know what I'm saying? I actually just didn't. My parents didn't like make it a thing. And also in school, it
Mm,
was we didn't speak about race, not just me, but just in general, we just didn't speak about race. And then my brethren was like, "Oh, Rags is Jamaican and Irish." Do you know what I'm saying? And I was like, "Oh, seen."
mm,
I'm saying like I was like, "Fair enough." You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't even think nothing of it. You know what I'm saying? So, but my point is like, as a primary school kid, I had no worries, no cares in the world. Just played football, and that's all, just played, innit? Do you know what I mean? When I got to secondary school, as soon as I got to secondary school now, it was literally um, the world changed in the first week. Race became a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like the
mm,
teachers, Like even in terms of racism, I saw like with how our school was like all the kids that were getting in trouble were non-white. You get me? So every time you looked in the room,
Mm.
in brown and black faces, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, yo, why are we always the ones getting in trouble, but then the other guys are not, the white guys are not, you know what I'm saying? Or white girls, whatever. So it just, school was like a reality check. Secondary school, sorry, was a reality check. Primary school was like, yeah, I'm still a kid, I'm still enjoying my life. Secondary school, I still liked it, don't get twisted. It was good. But as a reality check, it was like, yo, you are this, like, this is your race, and this is how you're going to get treated for being the race you are.
Yeah, I hear you, bro, man. So you got asked that question first week secondary school. Do people ask you that like even till now? Did you get that question a lot more? Like where you from?
Um, I get the question, what are you? That's the main question I get. That's like, and that's
Right.
obviously, yeah. So like, it usually it's weird because obviously that's like a quick like I'm a human, innit? That's what I am, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? I think like obviously depending on the person who sees me, I could be quite racially ambiguous. You see what I'm saying? So they're interested to see where I'm from, like exactly, like in terms of my race, my heritage. Some people will see me and just know straight away that it's black and white. It just depends on the person. That's one thing I realized as I've gotten older. We've all got different views. And for example, you might have a cousin that looks like me. So when you see me, you're like, oh yeah, I know exactly where he's from. You see what I'm saying? Like, but I do get the question, what are you? Not so much where you're from. It obviously means the same thing. But I think because to quite a lot of people, I might look ambiguous. It's more of a what are you? It's like I can't even pinpoint where you're from. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I hear you. I hear you, man. All right. So let's talk after school. So you've done school. Did you go to college and university?
I went to college for 1 year to do business studies. I passed the first year, and then I quit after that because even though I passed the first year, it was just a fluke. I mean, the teacher helped me a lot that year actually. Um, I can't remember her name now, but she literally did all my coursework for me. Without her, I wouldn't have passed. No way.
Mm.
And then I don't even know where that GMVQ is now either. Like that doesn't mean nothing to me. I never used it, never took it in. And then I went to a music college because around the time I went college, I started doing music. Um, so I was interested in like at that time I was interested in grime. I was doing grime. I was DJing. I used to spit as well, and I wanted to just go to music college to learn an instrument like the piano or something like that. So I went to music college straight after the first year of normal college. And then again, music college was meant to be 3 years. Again, I didn't complete it because I just wasn't serious. And it was hard. People think music college would be easy because you're just playing music, but listen, learning things like the piano and that, it's like mathematics, man. It's difficult. I just wasn't serious about it, to be honest. So then after that, yeah, I left after the first year of music college.
Yeah. And then you done some early charity work, didn't you? Done so I think you with the Alzheimer's Society. Like this must have been straight after college, I'm guessing.
Um, nah, this was when I was like 23. Between the age of 16 to like 19-ish, I was going to college, like I said, in and out. And then from like 20 to 23, I was just working, just doing like working with my dad actually at the time. My dad's got a company and I was working with him. And then from 23 onwards, I was still working with my dad, but then that's when I started doing the volunteer work with Alzheimer's Society charity because my grandma's got dementia. So I wanted to support people like her.
Right, right. And how was that experience for you?
It's an important experience, man. I always go back to that time and it changed me as a person and it seeing my grandma suffering with dementia, like, and I remember always remember going to her house one day and seeing how bad she was suffering, and it kind of was like a switch in my life, like it's like, raw, you've got to like do something about this. So then my granddad at the time, he was a musician when he was alive, and he had some music that he hadn't used before that he said I could use if I wanted to. As I said, I was kind of rapping and spitting at that time and whatnot. So I decided to create a project called Paying Homage to the King, which all the proceeds would go to the Alzheimer's Society charity. Um, so I contacted them and said, look, I want to do this project. I want to sponsor you guys. All I want from you guys is permission to use your logo, so it's official. And then from there, yeah, the project just went really well. Like I said, I was doing a lot of talks at colleges, schools, selling the album at different places. And at that time as well, I was working at Co-op, the retail food place. And when I was working there, they supported it too. So they let me sell it in the shop where I was working at, and then I did like a tour of different co-ops across South London, which was good. So we raised a lot of money. So we raised over 10 grand for the charity in the time we was promoting it. And then, but the main thing I would say about that whole process that was really good was that we raised awareness about Alzheimer's to young people, because obviously young people just see old people, getting losing, forgetting things or forgetting like seeming like their memory's gone and just thinking, oh, they're old. And really they got Alzheimer's half the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to have a better understanding of what difference between having Alzheimer's and difference between getting old. Big difference. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that was like really important, and we reached so many people, young people, and again, I said the reason why I say that's so important that period is because Poetic Unity wouldn't exist if it wasn't for my grandparents, me wanting to support my grandma, and also learning about the charity sector. So volunteering with Alzheimer's Society, I learned about the charity sector. If you ask me at 22 years old, would I be working in the charity sector? I would laugh at you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and then a year later, I'm working in the charity sector. I'm volunteering in the charity sector for 4 years, and then I go on to start my own charity, which I never would have imagined. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a really important period. A really important period still.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, looking at your profile, it seems like there's a strong theme. Well, charity work you done, Alzheimer's, Poet Unity, but above all, like on impact, especially young people. It just seems like that's what a lot of your work is centered around, giving back to the community and doing some sort of positive impact. With the Poetic Unity side of things, so obviously that's a spoken word charity. Well, in essence, I know you do a lot of other things now, but I started off as like a spoken word thing. How did you yourself get into spoken word?
Yeah, again, that kind of happened later on because, as I said, when I first started doing music, I was doing grime. I was going on radio. I was going on Top FM and all that kind of stuff back in the day. For those who remember that them days, and like I said, I was 16 at the time. I started rapping like probably when I was in my early 20s. Because as you know, spit like doing the grime MC thing and rapping is very different. Do you know what I'm saying? So I started rapping like early
Mm.
20s, and then I started doing spoken word. I would say properly when I was like 26, and that was again by a chart. It was by accident, really. It wasn't like I did it on purpose. I wrote this piece called Digital Slaves, and then I remember I performed it at this event in Camden, and then after I performed it, this guy come up to me and he's like, "Yo, you're a sick poet, you know." I'm not gonna lie, I didn't rate poets. Not that I didn't think they were good. The poetry you learn in school, I went into that. Do you know what I'm saying? The whole Shakespeare, and
Yeah,
that's how I viewed poetry. Do you know what I'm saying? So when he said I'm a good poet, I kind of took that as a diss. To be honest, I didn't really, I wasn't really,
yeah,
yeah, I wasn't really feeling that comment. But when I deeped what he said, I was like, yo, that's actually proper true, because when I performed that piece, I had a different reaction to me performing any other piece I performed before. So the whole room went completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone was listening to the words, and that's really kind of why I love spoken word, is because that's what it demands that you listen to the words, the content. That's the most important part. Whereas with like hip hop and other genres, that isn't the most important part. Sometimes the beat can carry a song, even if the song's trash. You know what I mean? That's where spoken word for me is like powerful. Why I started going down that avenue, because I was like, yeah, this is me. This suits my style.
yeah. Spoken word's definitely powerful. Like and I hear what you're saying about hip hop or rap, whatever. The beat carries a song. Because there's so many songs here. I don't like. I'm just listening to. I'm just vibes into the beat. I don't know
Yeah,
what the hell they're talking about until like years
yeah,
later. I listen. I'm like, rah, is that what he was talking about? I didn't know. Um, with spoken word, it's not like that. So I know we were talking just before we started this thing. I've been to some of your events before, and I remember the first time I come, I don't know, I think I just came. I just wanted to see what it was about. Had never been to any spoken word kind of thing before that, and I didn't know what to expect really. But then I sat down. I remember, who is it? I think it was like the first or second poet. I can't remember. They done something mad, and I was like, "Yo, is that what it is? Is that what it's like? Like it's sick, man." But it
Yeah.
you take it in a way that you take it in very differently to the way you take in rap. The words, you really feel it. You can really feel the emotion, I feel, in a
Mm,
very different way than you would with other music forms like the rap, the hip hops and stuff like that. So for sure, yeah, I think it's a very strong and very emotive. You feel the emotion in a lot of spoken
mm.
word as well, a lot more than you probably would in rap and hip hop. With Poetic Unity, how did you go about even starting it then? Like after you've had that comment, after you performed the Digital Slaves piece, how did you go about, okay, I've got that comment, now I'm going to start this thing? How did you start it?
I carried on performing that piece for about 6 months, just different venues, different open mics, um, just to get an idea if that was like just a fluke. Do you know what I'm saying? That it's just a good night, or if it was like, this piece is actually carrying weight, and if the spoken word thing's really me. So yeah, after performing that for about 6 months on the scene and that, and I was performing it mainly at music events. So there wasn't many poets at these events. So when I performed it, I think it made me stand out more too because I sounded different to everyone else that was on the stage that wherever I went, which I like that. Do you know what I mean? That's a good thing. So yeah, I'd say like as I said, it was because I came up with the idea of Poets Unity when I was 26, and um, we made it official, like in terms of like Poets Unity actually existing. Made it official in when I was 27, so in February 2015. But the idea came to me, I would say probably like September 2014, around that time. And then I was kind of like thinking of how I was just, the whole purpose of Poets Unity wasn't to be a charity, it was to be like a safe space for young people to have a voice and also to provide like regular events and workshops for young people to congregate and, meet other like minded young people. Do you know what I'm saying? So it kind of started off like that. Like, how can I make this happen? And I wasn't. And again, I like to try things out. I like to see if they're going to work or not. So when I did start Poets Unity, I didn't like make it an official company or charity or whatever. At first, I said, let me try this for 6 months. If it works, then I will. Like, if it's something I think we can last, and it's not the most important thing. If it's something that's needed for the community, then I'll continue it, and then I'll make everything official and whatnot. So yeah, that was kind of my approach.
Yeah, that's it. And I remember I came once, so I came with well, she was my girlfriend at the time, now wife. But we came to one of the
Yeah.
events.
Came
What
to your
was it?
wife. She came your wife
Yeah,
after our event,
yeah. It was a good night. It was a good night.
yeah.
But we came like must have been like a couple of years ago. We came because I told her about it because I'd been before, and I told her like this is sick. Let's go and try it out. We're not even from South London. Like I'm from the East and she's from North. But we
Yeah.
travelled down. I was like sick. Like let's check it out. So we come down once, and I remember afterwards she was like. In fact, I don't even know if you'll remember. It was a couple of years. We spoke to you after, but I guess you meet a lot of people. So I don't know if you'll remember. But we spoke to you after. We even had a picture taken. I remember looking at the picture. I had no haircut, and I'm like, oh man. It was on the Insta page as well, looking
Is
rough.
it? Oh man.
But yeah, but we came down, and I remember her saying to me that it feels like there's a strong community sort of feel there. Like it feels like that strong community presence there. What's the community response been like since you started Poetic Unity?
Yeah, it's just been love, man. It's just been like it's turned into more than what I ever could have expected it to be. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when I started Poets Unity, like I said, it was just an idea. It was just me it's me realizing the power of poetry and how powerful it was for me. Do you know what I mean? And seeing that this could be something really powerful to use for the community. And like I said, I didn't start it to be a charity. I didn't start it to even be a company. I just wanted to see if this was something that was needed in the community, and then kind of just go from there. So the community response has been amazing, like way more than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah. And with spoken word itself, what impact do you feel like that has on the young people that you've been working with?
Spoken word is like it's very layered in terms of what it can do for a young person and just people in general. But the main factors I would say is that, firstly, it gives young people a voice. A lot of the time, as young people, their views and what they think is kind of silenced by the older people in the community and stuff. With spoken word, like it allows you to just freely speak your mind and really have a voice. Whereas sometimes, some things might be difficult to say in a conversation, but they're always easier to say in a spoken word piece. So I think that's what and again that's why spoken word links so like perfectly with mental health in terms of supporting mental health because you know there's so many people struggling with their mental health and they can't speak to somebody, but if they can put it into a poem, even if they don't perform it, just for themselves, just to get off their chest, it makes a really big difference um, in terms of like supporting how they're feeling at the time. And I think that's really, the key thing to spoken word is giving young people a voice, giving them a chance to, giving them the opportunity to be themselves without judgment. That's really what we're about. For young people to be themselves and to have a voice and to know that their voice actually matters. Not just, oh yeah, we're just listening to you just because, you know, for whatever reason. Do you know what I mean? Like we actually care about your opinion. We care about how you see the future, how you want to change things in the world. Um, and spoken word is the tool, is the vehicle for us.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the impact that you lot are making. So I saw on your Insta page that last year you supported almost 7,000 people, which is nuts. That's a lot of people
Mm,
across a number of different countries. And that's through the weekly events and also through like all of these other community things that you lot do, you and the team do. So big up to you and the team. You lot are doing a lot, man, and obviously impacting a lot of different people's lives. But and I know like you've got so many different things. Like I'm looking at when I'm looking, I'm coming across so many different things that you lot are doing or have been doing over the years. So like for example, you got the Random Let's Talk stuff you do with the school kids or the young people. You got the communion and amongst all sorts of other things you're doing. Can you talk about some of that work? Like some of the, I've mentioned a couple, but some of the initiatives you've been working on and the impact that's been having on the people you've been working with.
I think the main thing with Poetic Unity, in terms of what we do, is I always say it goes back to the programs that we deliver and the unique way they're delivered. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what I mean by that is we've got a program that kind of covers all bases. So we've got programs for education, for mental health, for personal development, for physical health, um, and we've also got like programs that are specifically for community cohesion, bringing the community together. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, that's kind of like the main areas we cover, but we still do other stuff within that. Do you know what I'm saying? That is kind of outside that, and I feel like programs like Man Let's Talk is a good example of what we do because as a man myself, like growing up, I didn't feel like I could speak about my feelings. You know what I'm saying? So I know how these boys feel when they can't. But the truth of it is, in the UK, there's a statistic saying that young men under 45, the biggest killer is suicide for men under 45 years old.
Mm,
So that's crazy. Do you know what I mean? That's bigger than any accidental death or disease or whatever. So with that being said, in our eyes, it's important that we catch young people when they're younger. Do you know what I mean? Like the younger, the better. You know what I'm saying? And then and try to normalize speaking about your feelings. A lot of the time, as a young man or boy or whatever, you're told to man up. You're told that men don't cry. All these things. That's obviously detrimental to your mental health because that then makes you think that you can't do these things, which are normal human responses to trauma. You know. So with the spoken word, with the Man Let's Talk program, the whole focus of that is is allowing young boys to be themselves, allowing them to have a voice, allowing them to have feelings, and to produce that in spoken word, as well as having conversations with man like me and other young men that work on our team, and even young women too. Sometimes, do you know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, that program's like a good example of what we do in terms of using spoken word as a tool to support young people's mental health.
Yeah, that's sick. And as you was talking, I was thinking some of the lines you just said. I was thinking the exact same stuff in my head about normalizing being able to talk about stuff. It's something, especially when you're a young boy and maybe you're young in it, like you got that bravado or whatever. You don't talk, like you're the man in it. You don't want to talk about stuff. But if suicide is the biggest killer of young men or men under the age of 45, there's obviously a lot of stuff that young men need to get off their chest that a lot of us aren't getting off our chest.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
programs like that, of course, they're very, very much needed. And I'm sure that a lot of people are very, very much being impacted by that work that you've been doing.
A good
So,
a good example of
um,
I was gonna say a good example of like this type of work as well is that we've done a workshop in a school year, like just before the end of the year, and there's a boy there that said he's never been anxious in his life. Yeah. Like most of the boys in there admitted to
mm,
being anxious or whatever, but as you said, the male bravado, he said he's never been anxious. So cool. You know, we're not gonna dispute that. Do you know what I mean? That's what you're saying. But then we do a workshop with him again today, and then man's showing anxiety, and then we're bringing it up to him like that's what anxiety is. But he's kind of shying away from it because he don't want to say he wants to seem like the big man. Do you know what I mean? He wants to seem like he hasn't gone through that stuff. But like we showed him today, there's nothing wrong with you being open. And sometimes with some boys it takes longer than others. Some boys they're they're quick to speak about how they feel, and some of them they've been told for so long that they can't speak about how they feel or can't show emotions that it takes longer. You know what I'm saying? So it's just depends, innit?
you know what? Yeah. On top of that as well, because I feel like I can talk from a personal perspective. Sometimes, like I feel people don't even know how to talk about how they feel. Like,
Mm,
I feel with me, yeah. So, I talk about this with my missus all the time. I feel like I'm very factual. You know what I'm saying? Whereas she might explain things in a different way. And then sometimes without her asking me the exact question, I don't even know. I won't know until she asks me, and then it comes out. I'm like, oh, rah, I didn't even know, bro. I didn't know that was this. I didn't know I felt like that. And maybe that's something that a lot of guys go through. You literally don't even know how to communicate stuff and get stuff off your chest. And because of that, then you just bottle a lot of stuff up, and it can lead to all sorts of issues down the road that can easily be solved just by getting stuff off your chest. By having a conversation with somebody.
that's what spoken word does. That's what a lot of boys and young men who don't know how to speak about their feelings, they can do it in spoken word. If you give them a piece of paper and ask them to write a poem or even a rap, some people find it easier to write in a rap. They can do that, and even for me, that's how I can express my feelings better now in the conversation. But I know for a fact there was a period of time where music and spoken word were like my outlets to express myself like that. Do you know what I'm saying? So I know how powerful it can be from my own personal perspective. You know what I mean? So personal experience. So yeah, man, that spoken word can and has been that tool and that way out for so many young boys and young women too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, bro. So, looking back on your journey so far, what would you say has been maybe your highest high and lowest low?
Mm. I'll say highest high was becoming a registered charity because that was a game changer for us. Um, for Poetic Unity, it just solidified. I mean, I don't know how much you are aware of how this whole charity sector works, but when you first start an organization, anyone put it this way, anyone could become a company. All you need is £40 and you file a couple forms to Company's House in your company. Company's House hardly ever reject companies because it's easy to become one. Do you know what I mean? So that was never going to be in question. Obviously, when we first started, we became a charitable company. So that basically means we're a company, but we're charitable. So all of our services are charitable. All of our aims and objectives are charitable. So we're a charity, but there's different levels to charity. So don't you watch football, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, for example, let's just put this in football terms. If you're like, if you say that, let's use the Premier League table. Say you know, you first start out as a company, or say you start out as a company aiming to become a charity. A charitable company is like being Norwich. You're in the league, but you're at the
All
bottom.
right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like you're just at the bottom. You're new. Do you know what I mean? Like no one really knows you. You just came up in the Prem. Yeah. When you've like obviously been a charitable company for a little while, and like you've built a bit of like status and whatever else, you obviously start to move up the table, but you kind of get to like the mid table, whatever. And then for me, in like terms of the charity sector, when you've like kind of topped the table and kind of got to a stage where people respect you and people hold you in high regard, that's when you're a registered charity. So not anyone can just be a registered charity. Obviously, you have to apply for it. There's certain things you need to do as well to become one. Like I can't remember the exact rules and stuff, but there's a good few rules about becoming one. It's not just oh yeah, you apply and you get it like company's house. Do you know what I'm saying? It's quite a long process, and they ask you a lot of questions as well. And if you don't ask them the questions how they want them, they will just reject you. We got that status in 2017, so that was like 2 years after we started. So getting that status was like a stamp of approval to say, yeah, you guys are doing the right thing and you're doing a good job. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of how it felt. So I
Yeah.
would say, I mean, there's been many highs, but that just stands out because with that, and also when you become a registered charity, you can, for example, you get like different, way more benefits. So you can obviously you can apply to any funder, whereas when you're a charitable company, you can apply for some of them, but some funders don't fund charitable companies; they only fund registered charities. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, when we became that, I think that really changed the game for us. And in terms of the lowest low, um, it was a personal thing. The lowest low is and it wasn't even to do with Poetic Unity. It was losing my granddad when I was 26. It led to me starting Poet. That was a year that I thought of the idea of Poetic Unity, um, and it led to me starting Poetic Unity. He died in July in 2014, and that was like the hardest time of my life. I'll say from July to like August or something. I just didn't work. I didn't go to work. I didn't do nothing. Me and him were really close, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? So that was like the lowest low for me up until this point in my life, to be honest.
I hear you, bro. And yeah, sorry to hear about your loss. I know it's what was back in 2014, but still, sorry to hear about that.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
with let me see, with Poet Unity. So what's next for you and Poet Unity?
At the moment, we're really just trying to build on our youth employment scheme. We started a cultural leaders youth employment scheme, which started in September, and the whole purpose of that is to give young people work with us, Black Cultural Archives and Theatre Peckham. We're doing this as a joint venture with the National Lottery Community Fund supporting it, and we're doing it for 3 years. So every 6 months, we'll hire 6 new young people to work with us, Black Cultural Archives and Theatre Peckham, and the young people that work with us will deliver the workshops and events that we do. We'll get a real understanding of the charities they're working with and like learn a lot about the charity sector in general. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a real like good opportunity for young people to get obviously paid work, um, but also good experience and serve their community too. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? So we're really focusing on that at the moment and obviously developing our programs, trying to make them better all the time. We're doing a lot of evaluation at the moment as well, way more evaluation than we've ever done. So we're really looking into what we're doing well, what we can improve. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like we're just getting to a stage. We're turning 7 in a month. So we're at a stage now where we're established, but we're trying to take that next step. Do you know what I mean? Trying to like take the next step. I'm always thinking about, for me, like before COVID, we was only really based in London. When COVID hit, we reached the whole UK as well as worldwide too. Do you know what I'm saying? Because of the online services that we provide. And we've done that now. We've continued this online approach as well as the in-person approach since COVID hit. So over 2 years now. And that's really helped us on the path of where I want us to go, because I want Poetic Unity to be worldwide eventually. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean worldwide in person as well, not just online. So young people need support everywhere. It's not just in London. It's not just in the UK. So, but that's a long-term goal. That's like where I can see Poetic Unity potentially going. But that might take a long time to get there. Do you know what I mean? Because my thing is, we need to get London unlocked first, and the rest of the UK unlocked, and then the world.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. Nice. And lastly, before we go into quickfire questions, what do you want your legacy to be?
Um, to be remembered, for someone that cared about others more than myself. For me, I'm not good if the community is not good. It goes hand in hand. It needs to, for me, if I'm doing well, but everyone else around me ain't doing well, then I'm not doing well. That's where I see it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I want everybody. Obviously, not everyone's gonna eat the same. Everyone's gonna live different lives. Do you know what I mean? That's just a fact. But I think and I believe in paying it forward. So I do that a lot with Poetry Unity. I'm always trying to pass on gems in terms of like young people that are trying to start companies or charities as well, giving them information on how to do that. Um, so yeah, it's my legacy just to be someone that cared about the community, cares about the community, someone that puts the community before myself. You know what I'm saying? Now that's my way of looking at it, because and it's not at my detriment. It's actually helping me. And this is what people forget. When you help others, it helps you. There's no such thing as uh, an act of kindness without you getting something from it. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're kind to someone, if you make them feel good, it makes you feel good. Do you know what I'm saying? If you give someone something and they feel good, you feel good. You understand? So for me helping the community helps me. So it's not even like, oh yeah, I'm doing it and I'm mashing myself up or something. I'm doing it to help myself as well as help the community. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I feel good and I'm a people person. Do you know what I mean? I love being around people. So yeah, and I want people from my legacy as well. I want people more to think about that. Because I think sometimes when people think about sharing or doing work in the community or whatever, they kind of think like, oh yeah, I'm doing good for others. Yeah, you are, but also you're doing good for yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? It's making you more of a wholesome person. It's making you more humble. Do you know what I'm saying? So all this flashy material thing, I've never been into that. Even before doing community work, I was never into that. Growing up in a council flat, we don't have things like that. Do you know what I'm saying? So I've never been about that. So it's always been about people for me. People come first.
That's it. That's sick, bro, man. Nice one. All right. So let's go into the quickfire. Let me quick it up. All right, cool. Quickfire questions, yeah? 20 seconds per question. The first few are a bit easier, I think, anyways. Then it gets a little bit more techie. But yeah, whatever comes to your head first, you answer that. Cool, bro. All right, let's go. First question. What's your favorite movie?
That's a hard question. I'm a movie guy, but
Yeah,
yeah, if I was to say one, I would say Inception.
good film. Second question. Favorite book?
I'm not even really a book guy like that. But again, if I was to say one, I'll say 48 Laws of Power.
Cool. Right, third question. What's a song that you can never get bored of?
Ooh, Mace. Tell me what you want.
Classic. Classic.
Mm,
All right. Fourth question. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would you pick?
one food or one meal?
What's the difference? One meal, let's say.
Any Jamaican dish. Any
Cool.
Jamaican dish. So rice and peas or fried dumplings and plantain, and that's me. Caribbean foods. That's me, man, all day.
No jollof rice.
Jollof rice is cool, but well, I
Yeah.
do like jollof rice, to be honest. It is tasty still, but Jamaican dish, number one for me, man.
Cool. I hear you, bro. All right. Next question. How do you start your day?
Gym. Obviously, after I brush my teeth.
Cool. 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 Had to make that clear.
Yeah.
Name 3 people that inspire you.
So my granddad, Robbie King Robinson was his name. Denzel Washington and Cristiano Ronaldo.
Cool. All right. What's the best advice you've ever received?
It's a hard one, but I would go with treat people how you want to be treated.
Cool. All right. Next, this one seems like it's going to be an obvious question for you, actually. But the question is, if you were to dedicate the rest of your life to one charitable cause, what would you pick?
Supporting young people in all aspects, because I always say to people, Poetic Unity is my tool. It's not like people obviously put Poetic Unity in me and sync it together, and understandably so, because obviously I started it, but I might do other ventures similar to Poetic Unity, but at the heart of whatever I do is going to be supporting young people. So that's what I would say is that me supporting young people in all aspects, not just mental health, not just poetry, just in general, trying to, give young people the best chance in the future.
Cool, bro. All right. Last 2 questions. What's the kindest thing that someone has ever done for you?
You know what? My fiance, she took me to Jamaica for my 30th birthday. Paid for everything.
Uh,
You know what I'm saying? And also on top of that, she's of Jamaican background too. And her mum like goes out there a lot. So like when we went there, we went there. I didn't go to Jamaica as no tourist. I went there as like, yo, being with the locals and like learning about Jamaica properly. Because I went to Jamaica when I was a youth, like 9 years old or something, but I was too young then, innit, to really take it in. So going as a 30-year-old, obviously a big man, I could really take it in, and I got to like really see where my granddad grew up. I actually got to meet my great great uncle, who was 102 at the time. That was my granddad's uncle. That's like, and that's obviously because of my fiance. So, I mean, there's loads of kind of things that have happened to me, but that just came to my head because that's been my best trip. I can't even call it a holiday because it's going back home as well. But it's been my best trip that I've been on in my life to this point.
that's sick. All right. Last question. One thing that people don't know about you.
I think people know everything about. I'm open book. No, serious. What people don't know about me? It's a good question though. Maybe that they didn't know I was a baller back in the day. Do you know what I'm saying? That's probably like
Cool.
only like because we play football. Last year we did play a bit of football with the poets, innit? Like in the community, and I was twisted. I was still at it, man. I was still twisting people up a bit. So then, there's a
Cool.
bit surprised. They're like, "Oh, Rags, I thought you was just a poet, man." Do you know what I mean? And a founder and whatever else. But I still got legs. But I get injured too much, so I can't even play football like that anymore, to be honest. But when I do play, I still got a little couple skills. I like to think I'm CR7 sometimes. You know what I mean?
I hear you, bro. I hear you. That's my issue with football as well. I get injured way too much, man. I had to
Yeah, I
cut my
can't play
career
it. That's
short.
why I go gym instead. Because when I go gym, because football is very demanding on the body. Do you know what I'm saying? And you don't realize that until you get older. Because when you're young, you're just young, and you don't really get injured like that. But I can go gym like 4 or 5 days a week, and I'm fine. I can go football once and be out for months. Do you know what I mean? So I can't take that risk playing
Yeah,
regular.
I'm the exact same. My body can't keep up anymore, man. I just get mashed up every time I play.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
I
I
had
get
to
some
tone
sort
it
of
down,
bruise
even though I
or
love it.
not a broken foot or nothing, but like I get an Achilles problem sometimes, and do you know what I mean? And you know, if your Achilles tendon goes, you're finished. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can't mess around with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not saying I'll never play again, but
Yeah.
it's going to be very few and far between. I might play once a year, maybe. That's it.
Yeah. I hear you, man. All right. Cool, bro. So that's pretty much wrapping up now. Thank you for coming on. Really, really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, speaking about Poetic Unity, the work you lot do with young people, and the impact you lot are making. Like, really appreciate you coming on to speak about what you're doing. Before we wrap up, yeah, are you good to do like drop a little something, like a little spoken word piece?
Yeah, I'll drop a little piece, part of a piece. All
Yeah.
right. So you see, growing up in the ends, your postcode determined your friends, and these postcode wars are real. And it's quite fitting how I think about all of this while I'm sitting at the ends. It's called the ends, because it's literally the end of the road, man, for so many young youths. And I remember being 15, having to prove myself to this man and that man, and after proving myself to them, man, there was always the next man that was long. But you see, even though there's all these grieving low times, I understand the appeal, because the ends is family. So how can you expect a road man to listen to a grown man about changing his life when he doesn't even know, man? Yeah, he doesn't even know, man. I give you that.
Clicks, bro. That's it. Nice one, bro.
Say, bro.
Nice one. Nice one. All right. Cool. Yeah. So that's that. Thank you so much once again for coming on. Before we wrap up, you got any final closing remarks?
Yeah, man. Just whoever watches this, you know, just follow Poetic Unity. If you're a young person, especially anyone under 30, like we got something for you, man, that you'd be interested in. Or even if you're over 30 and you just want to attend our events, come through. Because that's the thing, like, as much as Poetry Unity is focused on young people and that's our main demographic, we actually support the whole community in general. Because when you're supporting a young person, you're then helping the parents as well. Do you know what I'm saying? And also, not just that, loads of people over 30 come to our events on a regular basis. So obviously that makes a difference to them as well.
Yeah, for sure. Cool, bro. And if people want to follow, how can people keep up to date what's happening in Poetic Unity or follow Poetic Unity?
So our website is poeticunity.org.uk and Instagram is at Poetic Unity and Twitter is poetic_unity and Facebook is Poetic Unity Project.
Cool. All right, that's it. So that's that then. Once again, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate your time. Really appreciate everything you've had to share with us. And that's that. 1,000 voices. We're at. Okay, that's that. Thank you for tuning in. I very, very much appreciate it. If you like what we're about, if you like what we're striving towards, then please do subscribe or follow this podcast wherever it is listening to this. Also, it's always great to hear from people with regards to the episodes that we put out. What do you think? What were your key takeaways that you've taken away from the episode? Please do leave us comments, a review, comment on our social media pages. Just let us know what you thought about this episode. Any and all feedback is very, very much appreciated. Next week, as always, we're going to release our new episode on Tuesday. So follow us on our social media pages in order to keep up to date with the new episode before it comes out and to see previews from the next guest coming up, which is a very, very good and inspirational interview for sure. So that's that. Thank you for tuning in once again. This is 1,000 Voices, and until next week, we're out. Okay, that's that. Thank you for tuning in. I very, very much appreciate it. If you like what we're about, if you like what we're striving towards, then please do subscribe or follow this podcast wherever it is listening to this. Also, it's always great to hear from people with regards to the episodes that we put out. What do you think? What were your key takeaways that you've taken away from the episode? Please do leave us comments, a review, comment on our social media pages. Just let us know what you thought about this episode. Any and all feedback is very, very much appreciated. Next week, as always, we're going to release our new episode on Tuesday. So follow us on our social media pages in order to keep up to date with the new episode before it comes out and to see previews from the next guest coming up, which is a very, very good and inspirational interview for sure. So that's that. Thank you for tuning in once again. This is 1,000 Voices, and until next week, we're out.